Hey guys, it's that time of year again when it's time to winterize if you're not using your camp. So anyways, I'm going to go through a step-by-step on winterizing your camp. That way if there's anything that you've forgotten as we've done walkthroughs, or if this is your first year, it'll be a good refresher. So anyways, we're going to go through. I'll show you my whole process, draining, everything. It's a super quick process, easy. So let's get going. All right, so the first thing that we want to do, and maybe a lot of you, if you haven't used your camps, what we'll want to do is we'll want to drain our tanks. Okay, so we've got our black water tank. These are completely full of water as I've just tested this camp. So we're going to drain both of them, pull our fresh and our gray. Now, those of you that have used your camps, you're probably not going to just drain your black and gray water onto the ground. So if you haven't, take it to a dump station, get it dumped, spray them out, clean them out, that kind of stuff. And I can go into that in another video if that's something that you're interested in. But for this video's purpose, I'm just going to show you drain your tanks, and then we'll go through the winterization process. So once I've got that done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to drain my freshwater tank. Now the freshwater tank is a pretty slow draining process, so I'm going to show you what I do. So you have these two valves, okay? One's for your freshwater drain and the other one is for your winterization system. This one's going to be your drain, the one that drops down through the floor, okay? And as I open that one up, you can see my water starting to drain out. Okay, but rather than, just because this tank is 100% full pretty much, I'm not going to do it that way because I don't have that long to wait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Okay, so I'm in the ready to use position. My bypass hose is still closed, so I don't have to worry about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my water heater. Okay, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to pull my drain plug out. And what that's going to allow me to do is go and turn the pump on and allow it to just pump water out of this. That's going to speed me up. That pump will pump 4 gallons a minute out versus, I don't know what that drain will drain. So if your tank is full, that's a faster way to do it, is to just turn your pump on, let it pump the water through. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll get this drain plug pulled out and get that draining. One thing to keep in mind, if you are pulling this out, the best way to do it is to relieve the pressure first. So this one's still hot. I've been running it. The water's hot. I don't want to get doused with water. So I'm going to go ahead and relieve that pressure. Okay, just by opening that pressure relief valve. That way when I pull that drain plug, like I say, I'm not going to get drenched. So once I've relieved that pressure, I can go ahead, take that plug out. This one is a Suburban water heater, so it is an 1 1/16". Come on, focus. 1 1/16 socket. So I always keep one of these handy. That way I can just put it on, crank that out. Once I get it about finger tight, I can take and just unthread it with my hand, pull it out. And if that relief valve is still closed, it's not going to come splashing out. But if I open this up, you can see how all of a sudden I have a steady stream. Okay, so it's going to drain your water heater a lot faster, even if you're not draining your water tank this way. Right now I don't have the pump on, so I'm just draining what's in this water tank, and then as soon as I get it drained, then I'll go turn my pump on, drain the rest of my tank this way. All right, so I've got my pump on now. You can see it's pumping fairly quick, so that's going to be the fastest way to drain our freshwater tank. So I'm going to let that drain, and then I'll show you the rest of the process. All right, guys, so I've got this all drained now. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna open that drain just in case there's anything left in there. It can drain out. There's not enough in there that's gonna freeze or break anything, so I'm not super worried about that. But I do open that drain valve just so if, yeah, there is anything left in there, it's good to go. Okay, now the next step we've got to do is we've got to bypass our water heater. So I've already pulled my plug out and everything, and this is completely up to you what you do with this. For those of you that have the Suburbans, you're going to have an anoid rod, okay? And for those of you that have like an Atwood or a Dometic, you're probably just going to have a plastic plug. So what I like to do is I like to just leave it right inside there. I put my door on. That way, if I ever question whether I got it winterized or anything and I get worried about it, all I have to do is open that door, see that my plug's there, that it's pulled out. Otherwise, if I go ahead and thread that back in, then I'm wondering whether I did it or not. And so that's just an easy way for me to remember that I've done it. All I got to do is just open that door and look. So I'll get the cover put back on that, and then I'll show you how the valves are. All right, so a lot of you camp owners, depending on the layout and the configuration of your camp, a lot of you are going to have an access door right here by the water heater. For those of you that don't have one, most of the time it's because you've got a lower bed set up, and you can access these same valves from inside the camp by lifting up the access right there at the front. So anyways, you should have probably a couple of these little gray keys. Okay, that's for your access door. We're gonna open that up. Okay, this one isn't complete, so don't mind all the mess we got going on here. Okay, but you can see these two ball valves. You've got one in the back that allows water into your water heater, and then you have this one here that's your mixing valve. What we're gonna do is we're gonna change them the exact opposite of the way that they are now. So I'm gonna turn this back one, close it, and then I'm gonna open this mixing valve. Okay, so my back one is closed. My mixing valve is now open. So that completely bypasses our water heater. That means that we're gonna use very little antifreeze. You can fill your water heater with antifreeze, but you're gonna use a lot of antifreeze. So that's the easiest way, just bypass it, and then we don't have to use a whole lot. So once we've got it bypassed, we can lock that back up. We're not gonna need to get in there again, and we'll come back around to the back and we'll get our antifreeze ready to pump in. All right, so you should be able to do this easily with 2 gallons. If you're a little reluctant, I would get an extra gallon just to be sure that you get it good. Okay, but all we're gonna do is we're gonna open one of our gallons up, take our winterization tube, stuff it down in there, try and get it as close to the bottom as you can so that we can suck as much out of there as we can. And then we're gonna turn our valve to the winterization position, which would be facing, so these valves face the direction we want the water to go. So as you can see, this one, the water is gonna come this direction and it's gonna drop straight down through the floor. This one, we're gonna be pulling water or antifreeze through our tube and back through the pump. So that's the direction you want those. Once you get them hooked up, we'll go inside, turn the pump on. All right, and the location of your guys' pumps might vary depending on your camp, layout, things that way. The majority of your camps are gonna be on the monitoring panel unless you've specified you didn't want a monitoring panel or a separate switch or something that way. But I would say 90% of the camps are gonna have the monitoring panel with the water pump right on it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our water pump on. Okay, and then we can come to each one of our faucets. And another thing that this is completely dependent on you, whether you want to close your valves to your black and your gray water tank to store a little antifreeze in them, or whether you just want it to run out. It really doesn't matter one way or another. I leave my valves open, but you can close them and put a little antifreeze in there. So now that our pump's up, we should have built pressure. we can go ahead, open this, okay, and you're gonna see clear water come out, and all of a sudden it's gonna turn bubbly and start turning pink. So once we get pink through it, we know that we've got antifreeze. Okay, that was on the cold side. I'm gonna run it on my hot side now and make sure I get the same thing. Okay, that I get a good amount of antifreeze coming through the lines. Once I've got antifreeze coming through that line, I'm gonna close it and I'm gonna go to my next fixture. In this camp, it's going to be our bathroom. This one doesn't have the vanity in it. If you have the vanity, you're gonna wanna do your vanity sink. Okay, but this one does have the toilet. And this is going to be the very first thing that freezes. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you get this good. But all you're gonna do is you're gonna flush it, wait for the pink to come through. Once the pink comes through, you're good. Okay, same thing with your shower. Run it through both of your hot and your cold. Run it into your shower pan, and you should be done. On your shower, one thing that I find that's easy to do too is I like to take the head off of my shower and just use the hose. That way I can keep it right in the drain so I don't get antifreeze all over, because if you let the antifreeze sit, it's a pain in the butt to clean up. So I like to get it just in the drain. So I take my head off, put the hose right into the drain, and then turn it on. Once I've got my shower head off, like I say, I just put it right down in my drain, and then I can turn each of these on. If you do have this little device on yours, you can actually shut the water off with it. So it just twists. Most of your camps should have this. If not, it was in the drawer. But what this does is this shuts off flow to where you can set your temperature on your faucet to where you've gotten your hot and your cold mix to where you want it. And then all you got to do is open this, say you were putting shampoo or whatever in. So anyways, that makes it easy too. If you're by yourself and trying to film, then you can do it with one hand. So anyways, we've got the one side done. We're going to go ahead, open the other. Okay, make sure we get a good amount of antifreeze. Okay, I can hear my pump running now, even though we've shut that off. That means that gallon is empty. So if you do have a second person, it makes it easy because they can be back there. They can switch the jugs real quick for you. Otherwise, you're going to have to go switch the jugs to do another gallon. So anyways, I'll run back there real quick, switch those, and then we'll come and finish up. So you can see I still got a little bit in there, but you can hear that pump running even though I don't have a demand on the system. It's because it's just sucking air. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer this to my next bottle. Okay, the pump is still running, but it's not sucking any. That's because there's no demand on the system yet. It just shut off, so we built pressure obviously. And then I'll just take this into the camp and I can run it, or I can put it down my sinks or whatever, just for a little extra protection. Once you get them in those P traps, S traps, all those things, you should be good. So this camp, I actually probably could have got away with just 1 gallon where it didn't have the vanity and stuff. But I don't know, you can't use too much, I guess. So anyways, I'm gonna finish this shower up, run a little more through it, and then I'm gonna pour everything that I have extra just down the drains. So like I say, 2 gallons, I can usually do everything in 2 gallons in even our biggest camps. So if you do have, a lot of you will have an outside shower. This one doesn't. If you've got the outside shower, you'll want to make sure that you run some through it as well. And it wouldn't hurt on those outside showers to put a little some rags or something in there where they are a little more exposed to the elements. If they're winterized properly with antifreeze, you shouldn't have to, but it wouldn't hurt. So anyways, that's kind of a look at how we winterize these camps. It's really easy. This video is probably a lot longer than what it would take you to do it. But I wanted to be fairly thorough in explaining things. So anyways, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, let us know. We'd love to help you out, for you camp owners that have camps, and even for those of you that have trailers. We do hundreds of winterizations every year, so we'd be happy to help you out as well. So anyways, thanks for watching.